What's up? This your boy CJ Goodfella back with the Boston Clinic, doing another video, of course. This is just a video for the reaction from all the interviews and different fighters and different analysts and their different perspective and everything that pretty much went on after the Charles Martin card and Anthony Joshua card and after the Pacquiao and Tim Bradley card, where things outside the ring and things that analysts and different boxers pretty much said that you might not have caught after the fight because it was on so late. Especially if you're not part of the YTBC community, you might have missed some of these in-depth interviews and enjoy some of the screenshots from these fights that we have planned on. Also, one of the main things that definitely went on after the fight was the Charles Martin fight. I think Lennox Lewis went on record and said that Anthony Joshua wasn't ready for Tyson Fury or David Haye right now. I'm just sick of the stigma that these fighters are getting these days, is that they can be champions but not be ready to fight everybody else. If you're a champion of the world, you should be able to fight the biggest, tallest challenge that's out there because you're a champion. You should be ready. You're already there. You're no longer a prospect or a contender anymore. You're a champion. And if you didn't want that responsibility, you should just continue to be a prospect or a contender. Definitely, Anthony Joshua should entertain fights with Lennox Lewis, and I mean not Lennox Lewis, but with David Haye and with Tyson Fury. It should be a mandatory. It should be a given. But like in my video, I'm not really going to reiterate to make it'll be like a duplicate of a video. My reaction to the Anthony Joshua Charles Martin fight. You can go back and watch it. It's in the archives on YouTube. I think he should fight Luis Ortiz next. I mean, he's getting a lot of hype. He's getting a lot of steam. Luis Ortiz probably had no problem coming over there, so he could fight at the Wembley Stadium on the O2. And Anthony Joshua could pretty much do his thing. But what I'm hearing is that he's going to fight Malik Scott in July. Everybody's not too happy about it that I've talked to. If that fight does take place, it's just a rumor right now. But like I told you in the reaction video, Eddie Hearns and these guys are going to milk this belt and protect Joshua until they feel that he's 100% ready. And that's just the day and age of boxing that we live in. Other things that happened post-fight, one popular interviewer that really had a lot to say about the fight was 140-pound WBO junior welterweight champion Terence Crawford. He said that he's seen a lot of things that he has advantages over Manny Pacquiao right now. And a lot of people feel that he isn't ready, but in a world that these guys are babysitting these champions and stuff like that, it's a breath of fresh air feeling that he's ready to take on a big, tall risk of Manny Pacquiao. If Manny Pacquiao chooses to retire, we all know he's not going to retire. He's going to come back at some point, period. And Crawford said he has a lot of advantages over Pacquiao, which is true. And they said, what about the speed advantage? He said speed isn't everything. I have timing. He's seen a lot of different things that he would have did different that Timothy Bradley didn't do. And in my opinion, that he's a more talented overall skill fighter than Timothy Bradley. My boy Art, again, shouting him out. He said he really never looked at Timothy Bradley as an elite fighter. Pretty much, I'm thinking it's a diamond on his skill level. And I pretty much agree. He's just always a notch above elite. He's an overachiever. He wasn't really supposed to be here and did his thing. Terence Crawford does some things, boxing moves and boxing things in the boxing ring that a lot of other fighters can't do. He has elite talent. He just doesn't have the experience to match the talent, especially on the pay-per-view stage. But, you know, he gave his thoughts on other things. You could just look those Terence Crawford interviews up yourself. And then one of the biggest interviewers was Max Kellerman. He had one of the biggest, most impact interviews that really had everybody after the fight really talking. He said that Manny Pacquiao was higher on the pound-for-pound all-time great list than Floyd Mayweather. He made a reference that even though Sugar Ray Leonard beat Roberto Duran, most people have Duran higher on their pound-for-pound all-time great list than Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, this is a touchy subject, but to think about it, I mean, a lot of people hide behind the fact that say Manny had a shoulder injury. Manny wasn't at his peak when Floyd fought him, but neither was Floyd. Floyd said he had injuries. Floyd said he wasn't at his, clearly wasn't at the prime of Floyd's career when he fought him. And a lot of people want to point the finger at Floyd why the fight didn't happen, and we all know why the fight didn't happen, because Manny Pacquiao didn't want to take the drug test, and Freddie Roach openly admitted that on the YTBC in different interviews. And that Bob Arum really didn't want the fight to happen, because after that fight really happened, the pay-per-view buys was going to go down. And Pacquiao buys before that fight was declining, so it was the right time to fight Floyd for the pay-per-view ratings to go up. But it's just crazy that people would think that, and he would say that. He's an HBO commentator, and he admitted during the telecast that Floyd did dominate him. And it's really no contest. Floyd is way better than him. He's the best boxer in this era. To transition into another thing, Floyd pretty much said that he had some hating ass comments, said it was room still available. Manny Pacquiao fight week is not like his fight week. Well, last time I checked, Mr. Mayweather, your Berto fight week took forever to sell out, if it did sell out, and I'm pretty sure there was rooms left there. I know people say, well, Manny Pacquiao had the better opponent than Tim Bradley, but once you fight a guy 3 times over again, nobody's really excited unless it's Mickey Ward or Gotti, or it's Pacquiao fight Marquez again. So pretty much Berto and Bradley, that really stoops them down to the same level. Floyd goes on to say, I'm just paraphrasing, that he thinks Timothy Bradley and Pacquiao was a draw. I can see where he's coming from this perspective. If you watch it on TV, Pacquiao was answering with a lot of glove shots and hitting the gloves and stuff like that. But when he started landing towards the end of the fight, he really pulled away in my eyes, because he was landing clean, effective punches, and he was controlling the pace of the fight. And those knockdowns really separated things. I thought Bradley was doing well in the fight. He did a lot of boxing things in that fight. He really kept it close all the way to the 6th, 7th round, but I think Pacquiao started to pull away. But I can see where Floyd coming from the beginning. And he basically was talking to Timothy Bradley, told him not to get discouraged and not to quit boxing, to keep fighting on. But if Bradley does fight on, he always has the American clash that everybody wanted to see. Thurman, Brooks out there, but these guys are just so much physically bigger than him. He'll never fight Terence Crawford, as they said before. These other guys are just physically bigger than him. I think it's time for him to hang it up and just move on to other endeavors. And pretty much Floyd was just sitting there salivating over there. He ordered the fight. He said he really doesn't like giving top-ranked money and stuff like that. But it is what it is. But the overall feeling of this fight is that both of these guys, Timothy Bradley and Manny Pacquiao, I think definitely should just move on. Retire. It's too much risk out there from guys that really haven't proven themselves to be at the elite level. I mean, if Pacquiao wants to fight Thurman, that can happen. Earl Spence can happen if he builds up. Porter, Kell Brook. I mean, we don't really know what these guys are yet. They really doesn't have a household name yet. We know who these guys are, but they haven't really proven themselves at the top level of boxing. So they really have to sort it out between those guys. And I think before they sort this out between those 4 or 5 welterweights, I think it's going to be too long, and Pacquiao's going to be sitting on the sideline too long, or Floyd's sitting on the sideline too long for everything to happen. I mean, if he wants to come out and fight Danny Garcia, he knows what Danny Garcia is. Danny Garcia is really on a downturn in his career and makes money for both. Go ahead and do it. But fighting fighting Kell Brook and those other big welterweights, it's too much of a risk. Those are too big, and Canelo is too big. But those are just a few things that was talked about on the YTBC and after post Pacquiao fight. This is your boy CJ Goodfella.